Hold on.
It says it.
Yeah, we're live right now. How you feeling today?
Outstanding. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I was doing good, but now that I'm looking at you and we're getting ready to do this classic, baby, I feel even better.
Yes, I'm glad I could add the right frequency to your energy.
Yeah, you definitely did that. Hold on. Oh, okay, that's how I'm gonna do it. Give you guys an opportunity to get in here before we start. Let me hook this up. There we go. Hold on. What's going on, Carter? I see you. Bam. Speak right quick. Let me hear your audio.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Can you guys hear her okay? What's going on, Tony? What a beautiful day to make sense. I love when bros start out like that. Blessings to Mary. What a beautiful day to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
That makes
Okay,
perfect.
let me make sure so I'll be able to see you guys' comments. Can you see me okay?
I can
I
see
gotta
you.
start coming over here more often. Okay, bam, I got it now. I can see y'all now. Okay, Benjamin 615 that came in jail card. We can hear her central voice. That's what's up. West side of Chicago in the house. Okay, WGM, Tony Parker. Yeah, we can hear y'all just fine. I caught you live today, bro. Thank you, Mary. Uh, Mr. Sin, what a beautiful lady. Thank you, Rock TV. Good looking. Appreciate that. There we go. Okay, but I wanted to give you guys an opportunity. Matter of fact, let me share that link on IG. Now, because you know most of the lives that I do, guys, anybody that's been watching me for a while, you pretty much know that I do everything pretty much on my phone. So when you see me doing them interviews, such as this, you see me on a computer. And for this channel, man, I gotta get used to, doing it because the setup as far as the audio and things like that. Okay, I see Jaden came up in here. Hold on, let me move that over just a little bit. Okay, I got you guys. Yeah, take a little time to get used to that audio. That's why you notice on my interviews or when I'm on this channel, I never play no music because that audio ain't really the business. Actually, speak for a minute. Let me see something right quick. Let me.
Uh, what do you want me to say? You want to talk about they can follow me, where they can find me?
No. Just for a minute because I wanted the screen to be on you.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. I'm
Okay.
appreciative.
Okay, I
Uh,
get you. No, I was just having you talk so it could be on you so I could screenshot. All
oh,
right. But in the meantime, what you could do is tell them the information that you would like for them to have, such as your social media information, such as Instagram, Facebook, or whatever social media outlet that you would like to give to the people.
you can follow me on Instagram at Majestic Ashley, Majestic Ashley, Ashley. And you can follow me on Facebook at Ashley Lynn Hampton. Yeah, man, excited.
Okay, hold on. Are the words on your end? Okay, there she goes now. It ain't caught up. Okay.
Is that better? I have my microphone set up too. Hopefully that helps.
I wanted it to just be on one accord with the people. You know, sometimes on the interviews, the person's words sometimes be slower than their mouth movement. And I didn't want that at all. But I appreciate you guys, man, for being here. You know what I mean? Hold on. There we go. Bam. I appreciate you guys for being here, man, and thank God for your big head ass seeing another day. We blessed to have Ashley on the platform. She's went through a lot of trials and situations, and from those situations, she's definitely obtained a lot of information that will be a blessing to the ladies. So without further ado, I want to ask you, Ashley, first of all, where are you from?
I'm originally from Sacramento, but I live in Stockton, California.
Okay. So you're raised Cali.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I spent 3.5 years in Nashville, Tennessee for college, but I'm a California woman. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let me ask you this. How was your excuse me. How was your people know not to call me when I'm live? How was your childhood? What type of childhood did you have?
Ooh, I grew up in money. However, emotionally, I dealt with a lot of problems. I was molested as a child. I was physically abused as a teenager, and just emotionally traumatized pretty much the whole way through and through.
When what age was it when you were molested?
I started being molested at 9, and it was by my father.
And at the age of 9 years old, after being molested, did you ever inform, your mother or anybody in the family that this was taking place?
I did. About a year into it, when I was 10, going into my 6th grade summer, I exposed it to my mother, who then had me speak to 2 of my aunts, where I exposed it to them as well. And it ended up being a very, very tumultuous summer into the 6th grade, where by the end of the summer, I just was like, he didn't do it. I'm over this. Let me just move on with my life.
So when you told that information, to your mother and other family members, did they think that you were lying?
I believe my aunts believed me. I believe my mother struggled because of her relationship with my father and how my father was. He was is still a convincing liar. So she struggled very, very much with it.
Wow.
Yeah. I was not believed when it first came out. I was not believed at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at that, and I can only imagine, being a 9-year-old and experiencing something like that, especially with your father, and for you to tell your mother what had transpired, and for her to have, and I understand what you're saying, that would make sense, being that is the father of her child and her relationship with him. But, you making up that type of story, that seems a lot far-fetched. Did she stay with your father after being informed about these activities that was transpiring?
They weren't even together. My parents divorced when I was 2 and had a very violent relationship. They were not. I went with my dad every other weekend. So, and then spent the summers with him. So their relationship wasn't where she was with him and couldn't believe it. They were separated. my mother just didn't, I don't think she wanted to believe it. My mother really based her parenting on being able to protect. We weren't allowed to go anywhere. We weren't allowed to spend the night at anyone's house. We weren't allowed to, do anything. So my mother built her mothering on, I do everything I can to protect you. Well, in that fear of something happening, the only person that essentially would be able to or could be able to and did was the one person she never thought in a million years would do something like that, which was my father.
Wow.
Yeah.
And after this, because I can't sugarcoat it. After these abominable experiences transpired, we already know that it affected you, but how did it affect you?
The trippy part about it is it didn't stop even after it was exposed, because remember.
Wow.
Right. Remember, by the end of the summer, because it was my mother, and I never paint a picture and express myself about my mother to make my mother look bad. That's not the case. It's just I tell the truth, and the truth makes her look bad. But the fact of the situation is, it was so hard for me to navigate. I ended up having to talk to my father the next day after I exposed it. She had me on the phone with my dad, or my dad tried to convince me that he was just holding me the way he held me when I was a baby. And I didn't want my father to go to jail. So by the end of the summer, I was just like, he didn't do it. So about a couple months after that, I was back at my father's every other weekend, and the molestation continued until I was 13 years old.
Wow.
So from there, by that time, the hate that I had drawn up from my mother was so heavy. I would much rather be with my father. At least it felt good. But the relationship between my mother, it was tumultuous. So we argued every single day. It was hell. And by the time I was 15, I was forced to live with my father because me and her, it just wasn't. It was bad. It was really, really bad. So then I moved in with my dad, and the molestation then transformed into physical abuse. My father was extremely strong with his hand on things that never even warranted being hit. And so that transpired into me being 18 and moved out and ran from home and went to college and had a whole manifestation of problems that trauma would do to a 18-year-old like me. And it was hard. It was really, really hard. Very challenging.
Okay. And you never, because I remember what you said. You said you never wanted to make your mother look bad. So you never exposed what was happening between you and your father to anybody outside of the family?
Friends, all my close friends have known since I was 15 when I really started expressing it. They know. The ones have my best friends from high school that we're still friends. My best friend now. Oh yeah, everyone knows around me now. Absolutely.
No, at that time.
No. Well, I had two friends, Taryn and Cabrera, at when I was in high school in Stockton. I revealed it to them, and they were as protective as they could be.
And when you say they were protective as they could be, what do you mean by that?
The only reason why they didn't report it or tell their parents is because I begged them not to. It was just I needed to get it off of my chest. And I mean, we're all 15 years old, and we all had went through our own set of trauma. So there's kind of an understanding that getting CPS involved wasn't the wisest decision when it came to my well-being. I had to grow up really fast and make decisions for myself emotionally that I didn't have the tools to make. But I look back on it and think, yeah, man, I did the best that I could.
Because, of course, the environment that you was raised in and, the individuals that you was around, was it was one of the reasons of you not telling, your father doing the things that he was doing to you sexually as a child? Was one of the things that prevented you from telling people was the fear of being called a snitch or labeled as a snitch or something?
No, my fear was purely I didn't want my dad to go to jail. And when my dad, now interestingly enough, though, how God tends to work things out. When I was 13, my dad got hit with the rape case, and a woman, his ex-girlfriend, lied on him. So even at 13, when he went through an entire trial, in my mind, I said, that's punishment. Because I watched it take my dad down, emotionally broke him completely, broke him financially. I mean, it literally just sucked his whole life out of him. So the way that I even perceive that is you're getting your justice for what you did to me. I'm not telling on you, but somebody lying on you, I think that's way worse. And it's rape at that. And it's, all kind of things. So my mind really went along that way. But as far as him going through the judicial system on my behalf, it wasn't snitching. It wasn't even that way. It was, this is my dad. I love my dad. My dad, outside of his abuse, was the best thing that ever happened to me in my childhood. I went without anything. I could do whatever I wanted. I had the freedom to see my grandfather. It was so many things that I weighed, and being abused, which is something that in my mind, even at 9 and 10 years old, I sucked up. And then I got lost in spirituality. So that always helped because I've always had a relationship with God. So it was, I took it as everything happens for a purpose, even at that young age. I just knew, like, okay, this is just what's supposed to happen. And I coped through it. It wasn't until I got in therapy that I learned, the right tools to really handle that type of thing. But yes, it was a trip for me to be 9 and know what I know and live how I lived and navigate through that entire experience.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. You said that you was in spirituality. So because of the incestuous activities that transpired between you and your father, that never interfered with your belief in God? Was there ever a time where ministering spirits would minister to you and tell you that, how could there be a God? Because if there was actually a God, why didn't he not protect you from your father, molesting you as a child? Why would God allow this to transpire at such a young age? If he's the God of protection, if he's omniscient, if he knows what's going to take place before it takes place, then why would he allow your father to have sex with you as a little girl and you're his daughter?
Let me clear up 2 things. One, there was no penetration with my father. It was all touching, grinding, feeling. There was a couple of times where he sucked on my neck, but he never allowed his penis to enter into my vagina. I believe, had it not been my cycle coming when it came, I think that it could have eventually grown to that because it got more intense as the years went on. Definitely. And secondly, by the time I was 18 years old, I lost all faith in God. I didn't even believe there was a God. When I got to Fisk University, there was something that transpired within me, and it was a whole lot of stuff that happened my freshman year that totally took the idea, the principle, the reality of God out of my life completely. I was done for, and suicidal. Oh yeah, very, very much so.
So, okay. So because I don't want anybody to be misled, and I don't want to be, because I don't want to misunderstood. So the only thing that transpired, which is still inappropriate, but the only things that transpired between you and your father was grinding, touching, inappropriate kisses, but there was never any intercourse as far as penetration, and there was never any oral play whatsoever either.
No.
So, okay, so you were just touched, you know what I mean, in ways that a father had no business touching his daughter.
And I had no business touching him.
Right. Okay, so because of the way that he touched you, you touched your father?
Yes.
Okay. And because of this inappropriate relationship and the activities that was transpiring between you and your father, you later on began to question God, and then you went from not believing in God to being suicidal. Did you ever make any attempts to commit suicide?
I did. I took a bottle of Tylenol.
Wow.
Yes, I did. And it was, I was more, and this is where it takes me back to that feeling of depression and my real first encounter of how deeply devastated I was at my life, because at this point, even in college, me and my mother's relationship was still very rocky. But I was mortified. Anyone who's ever been to Fisk knows that Fisk is, we're like 900 students deep. So we know when you walk on campus, you don't belong there if you don't go there. And so I was more mortified at the fact that I tried to commit suicide than the fact that I tried to commit suicide. So when I was taken away to the hospital and questions were sparking, my only answer was that I had to lie. And I created this entire story, this entire lie about what was going on with me, and blamed it on a health issue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, dramatic lie, like I had to continue. And then as a result of seeing the response from friends at the health, quote unquote, health issue, it was this thing that happened where it was like, wait a minute, y'all are responding like y'all care? Y'all love me? Wait, what? Wait a minute, I'm loved? So it put something into me that said that I have value in my life, but I'm still lying because I can't tell you guys what's really going on with me. I'm way more afraid of being judged for being suicidal. So then that had its own repercussions, all stemming from my unresolved trauma.
Okay. How did the inappropriate activities that transpired between you and your father, how did that affect you on your communication with other people? Meaning, like, the way you communicate, your relationship, did you have trust issues, with family members, people outside of family, relationship as far as with a boyfriend? Did the things that transpired with your father, did it lead to any type of lesbianism? How else did it affect you?
That's a loaded. So communication wise, I struggled with telling the full truth about anything, about how I was feeling, what I was dealing with, because in my mind, the one time I told the truth, it wasn't believed. So I can't let anybody see who I am. Who am I to be honest with you and then deal with the rejection and not being believed anyway? So I created an entire facade for myself to protect myself. Communicating, I just became hard. I became, this is what it is. This is what I want it to be. Very almost still loving and a high energy that people know me as, but I couldn't really let anyone in. That wasn't an option. Trusting men, no. That wasn't. Your first thing to me is a lie. Like everything that you say to me is a lie. I will not believe anything that you say. And even if I don't believe it, though, you won't know it, because then that would require me to be honest with you. And I couldn't even be honest with myself. I wasn't even being honest about what was happening within me. So relationships were really torn. Friendships that were created were somewhat strong, because there were some women that I could tell that I trusted, but again, there still was a wall, there still was a barrier, there still was the trauma, and I wasn't really able to navigate efficiently through that in certain relationships. So yeah, communication was, but I was really good at painting a facade. Like you couldn't know. Like Ashley just was a ball of energy and happy and joyful and always there for people and really good at giving advice and always having wisdom beyond my years and always really mature and never, I wasn't into the lesbian thing. I didn't go, on the gay side of it because I really loved men. I ended up really dealing even with a little bit of promiscuity in college, not too much, but enough for me to look back and be like, girl, you was kind of risky. But all of that coming from just not being able to be authentic and telling my story. And this is actually the first time I've ever publicly spoke on this. So this is like a big jump of growth in itself.
Well, as the scripture says, we are delivered by the words of our testimony. So, while you're being a blessing to somebody else who's fearful of conveying what has transpired or what might be currently transpiring now, to see you boldly speaking the way that you're speaking about the situation, not only are you being a blessing to somebody else, but you're giving medication also to yourself. You know.
Yeah.
So, because of that, would you say that, what I mean? Because I heard you say when you was in school, you ended up getting a little more active. Uh, and let me ask, before college, was you sexually active in high school?
No, I actually married the man I lost my virginity to. I didn't have sex until I was just before I was 18. I didn't while out sexually. I wasn't into drugs or alcohol. Again, my father, when I lived with him in high school, was very strict. My mother was very strict. I couldn't do anything out of like going to parties and it was very, very strict environment. And I did not allow it to affect my school. I graduated with a 3.5 GPA and 18 college acceptances and a SAT score out of the world. I took all my pain and turned it into power, unbeknownst to myself. So it was definitely an interesting experience, to say the least, but I navigated. But no sex until I was almost 18.
Okay, so before I get into your marriage and things like that, I would like for you to speak on some of the academic accomplishments that you achieved as well uh, in high school and in college. What areas did you excel in when you was in school?
Freshman, I can go through what I remember. My freshman year in high school, I started the Miraloma step team in Sacramento that is now still carrying as their competitive winning drill team, which is awesome because even at 14, I left my mark. I was always the starter of the BSU at whatever high school I landed in. I never went to the same schools. So I was at Miraloma High School my freshman year. I was at Franklin and Bear Creek and East Union my sophomore year, back to Miraloma my junior year. And my senior year was spent in Manteca at East Union, where I graduated from. And I always had something going on. I had my first public speaking engagement at the Diva to Diva conference as a junior in high school. And I was the keynote for them. I was the first ever teenage keynote speaker, which is I fell in love with speaking. Started BSUs at East Union, which was a big deal. Became the Junior Woman of Color, which was a nice award that they have in Stockton every year. I was a speaker for the Black graduation. And then went off to Fisk University and failed tremendously in college. There was no success in college at Fisk. Fisk was literally an opportunity for me to party, to drink, to smoke, to go to class when I felt like it, to get put on academic probation, to meet people, to got into event and promoting parties and things. So college wasn't as successful as it was determined it would have been for me in high school. But definitely Fisk made me. I'll say that. I say Fisk truly made the woman out of me, for sure.
Okay. Now, you said that you love speaking.
Yes.
Okay. And why is that?
I get to be my most authentic self on the stage. It's something that comes over me where I don't have to prep for it. I don't have to study for it. I can just get on the stage, see the souls in the audience, and begin to speak life and help people change and transform their perspectives on life and what this life is about, and help create their reality the way that they want it to. And people never leave the same. And that's something that only God can do through me. So it's an awareness of God that comes over me when I'm on the stage. So I love it, live for it.
I am very impressed that through all the early adversity that you've been through in your life, that you still got God coming out of your mouth. May I ask, what is your spiritual belief?
Well, let's see. I don't have anything other than God is real. I grew up with my aunt who was Muslim, so she helped raise my sister and myself. So by the time I was 10, I went from being in church every Sunday to being in Juma on Fridays and Arabic school wearing my hijab on Wednesdays and dealing with being bullied because me and my cousin wore our hijabs to school every day. So I was Muslim until I was 16. That's when I said, okay, I'm going to go back and like I'm still going to practice little bits of Islam. I did Ramadan every year all the way until I was 18 when I went to college, really until I moved in with my dad. But I've always had a spiritual presence. I just tried on different religions for size. So I'd be in church, you know, with my mom on Sunday, but I had a hijab on. So that's one of the greatest gifts my mother truly ever gave me was freedom of spiritual expression. So that's God, even 18 to, you know, 20 when I became pregnant, even that gap of time, me not believing in God just seemed easier than believing that God was allowing all of this stuff to happen. So now I just say I'm a physical extension of non-physical, pure positive energy, and I use all of my power in a positive way, as positive as possible, even on my down days.
So you are not a part of any religious denomination?
Absolutely not.
So would you say that you're just involved in spirituality?
I don't know how to, that's fair for people of common language, but
Yeah.
at the highest perspective, I'm just very much so aware of who I am on this planet. I know that this body is temporary, so I use my magic from the soul's perspective.
Okay. Okay. Now, you said that the man that you lost your virginity to, you said that that is the man that you ended up getting married to, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What was special about this person? Or maybe was it the right time? But what compelled you other than, you know, youthful lust to give away your virginity to this guy that you end up getting married to?
Looking back and understanding where I'm at now, he was soft. I was used to the harshness of the parenting I experienced. I was used to the division. I was used to the anger. I was used to the hardness. So with this man whom I met when I was 15 and we didn't get together until I was 17, he was just always hella cool and soft. Like it wasn't, I didn't need protecting. I protected myself. You know, that's the way that I seen it. So he was definitely just the softer expression of what I needed.
Uh-huh. So he was soft. When you say he was soft, was he feminine?
No. People, a lot of my friends, some would like actually we kind of seen it, but a lot of people are still shocked when they hear why we're divorced. But there was not soft in any form of alerting of homosexuality. I just a soft man, just soft young man with a big heart and was always laughing and athletic and came from from the outside in looked like a very well knit together family. Everybody was always around, very supportive, very encouraging, very church, very, very much so church. And he was responsible. He took care of business. He went to work. You know, he was an outstanding person to me.
So you said that he was soft.
And looking back, I could not identify that at 17.
Hold on, man. You know I have to get you. I can't be nice to you. But you said that he was soft. Now, looking back at the male representation and the location of Sacramento, they were thuggish. They were street. they were, ghetto, and you didn't like that?
It was actually in Stockton when we met, because this is my
Okay.
Manteca. Let's take that back, Manteca. Absolutely not. They were not. I was exposed to hard. My dad grew up. I was in East Palo Alto as a child. My dad is from the Bay. My mom is from the Bay. Like, I knew what hard was. And the only example of a man I ever had was my dad. So I wanted anything but that. So the fact that he came from a together family, the fact that they were supportive, they were loving, they were church going, they were tithers, they were all of these things that I didn't come from. Essentially, when it comes to the male's perspective, the masculine energy, it wasn't that I didn't want it. It was just that he was what I was attracted to. And he was soft. He wasn't like my dad.
So looking back, was he really special, or was he just different than what you knew? And he was the opposite of masculine. So when you came into contact with an individual who you say is soft, but other people like myself or something might say that he gay or feminine, you seen somebody who is the complete opposite of your father, that gave you attention, and he had sensitivity in areas where most masculine or so-called masculine men in these areas, they're pretty much bankrupting.
Looking back now, yeah, then there was nothing to compare him to.
Right. So he was outside of the well, I ain't gonna say little, but the experiences with your father and with the husband, you did have other sexual encounters with other individuals after losing your virginity to your husband, right?
Yes, in college. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So going back to my first question, what was special? Like, what compelled you to give up your virginity? What was it that said, you know what, it's time? Or did you even think like that? You were just caught in the moment and you went to the flow. You went with the flow and you spread them legs and you just let him have his way. What inspired this? And yes, obey Tony. Tony told y'all to hit that like button. I told you, the more likes, the more recommendations that the video will receive, so other people will have the opportunity to see it. So by all means, if you haven't liked this video, do so right now. But go ahead.
I've never thought about that. I'm gonna
ask you questions that's never been asked before.
I know, and I've never thought what was so special about him. We were together for a while. We were together he was my first real relationship too, like my first boyfriend. Like, it just was. It just was, I guess. That's a good question.
See, I'm kind of like the individual that wants to know the main ingredients. I want to know everything. So going at that, you said y'all was together for a while. How long is a while?
We were together for we got together in January of 2016. Yeah, January of 2016, and I lost my virginity just before my birthday, I want to say. So 6 months. We were together for 6 months before I was like, okay, I'm ready.
And after you gave him that precious blessing called virginity, how did you feel?
I felt like it was the right thing for me to do. I didn't regret it.
Okay. So what caused y'all to, like, were you still professing to be in a relationship when you started having sexual encounters with other individuals outside of the relationship? Were you guys together, or had you broken up?
We were on and off. By the time I went to college, that was long distance. We were on and off. When he started messing around with other people, I was just like, whatever, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I did. But it was still like a tie. We were very much so bonded together. So when I went home, it was only him, and when I went to school, it was whatever dude I was talking to who knew about him. Like, it wasn't a secret. Everybody knew at Fisk about my boyfriend at home.
Wow. Okay. Now, so it was on and off. It was on and off. What transpired to make it back on? You know what I mean? To make it stay on, and so on to the fact that you married his motherfucking ass.
I got pregnant.
Oh.
Right after I was suicidal. What brought God back into my life was the pregnancy, my firstborn. She saved my life.
They want to know, how old are you currently right now?
30.
30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got pregnant, how old were you then?
20. I had her at 21.
20, you got impregnated. Okay, 20.
Let me see. My junior year she was born in 2019, and I had just turned 21, July. She was born September, and I had just turned 21. So when I came home on Christmas in 2015, I got pregnant.
Hold on.
I'm sorry, 2009. I'm sorry, my days are wrong. So 2009.
Yeah, I'm not a smart man. But I was like, wait a minute,
because I'm mixing my case. I'm used to talking about my case.
Yeah.
So she was born in 2009. She was born to September 2nd, 2009. I got pregnant the Christmas before that.
I was like, she got born in 2019. Yeah. I'm like, she's a cold baby. She getting born in years that ain't even here yet, baby.
In years. That's why I didn't do too good in history. So 2009, she was born. I turned 21, 2009 in July. So 2008 at Christmas, I was pregnant with her. And by February of 2009, March, I moved home from Nashville because I was pregnant with her.
Okay. And so you guys ended up getting married because you were pregnant?
We got married because we had a daughter.
Okay.
We got married after she was born.
So it wasn't like, I love you or you love me, or we're so in love that let's allow our love to compel us to get married. It was really just a circumstance where you just had a baby and it just was the right thing to do?
I think it was a combination of both. I think Justin and I both really, truly loved each other at the end of the day. We just, knew we were young and had our issues. And then the fact that I got pregnant was the icing on the cake. Well, we're going to seal the deal. In my mind, I was never, even through college, in my mind, I was never, ever going to leave Justin. I just knew that we would be together forever. And that was my mentality because I lost my virginity. I always told myself, I may not wait until I'm married to have sex, but whoever I have sex with is who I will marry and spend the rest of my life with, as crazy as that was.
Yeah, because like I always say, I'm crazy. I was like, yeah, you should have gave it to me, baby. We would have still been on doing our thing, having our way. You got a dynamic ministry for speaking. Said, so do I. We could have been cold, girl. You're supposed to give that thing to me. No, but as far as that goes, okay, so now you're married.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you said that he was involved in spirituality. What is Justin's belief? What is his spiritual beliefs?
Christianity. He's a Christian.
Okay, so you got one that is it's safe to say, I can say that you're a spiritual person, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But let's be clear now. My journey is, before I got to spirituality, it was very different. Right. When I became pregnant with Anessa and moved home to be with him, I immediately went deep into the church.
Okay, when you say you went deep into the church, explain that.
I became Christian and then studied everything there was to study my entire pregnancy before we got married, before we even decided to get married in the church. I wanted to be not only accepted into his family, right? Because they were super Christian, but to get involved, I needed something more than what I was receiving from where I was at. Because I remember I went from not believing in anything, suicidal. Now I'm having this baby. This gotta be God has got to be real. Because here I am now. I'm pregnant, and I'm not going to kill myself because I have something to live for. So let me go to what I know, Christianity. All right, let's go back to Christianity. Let's try this, and full floor steaming in. That's what I gave my life to. And I was devoted to it and devoted to him. And we did the church on the Sunday, and we did the women's events and the women's meetings and all of that. I tried to fully evolve myself into Christianity completely.
Okay, and when you got involved in Christianity, did you receive any type of deliverance for the things that had transpired in your life, for the things that transpired between you and your father, you getting involved in early fornication, you, of course, having a blessing, because whether you're married or not, the child is still a blessing, but you having a blessing before entering into the institution of marriage. Was it any type of soul saving liberation that transpired when you got involved in the denomination of Christianity?
No, that's what kept me studying. In fact, the church really took my depression to another level when I confronted my father in front of the pastor that was residing over me. And
Oh, wow.
The pastor not even having the tools, not even having the authority nor the proper leadership to lead such a meeting, re-triggered everything, rehashed everything, and then used my college lie as the basis of not believing the 9-year-old who told her mother and believed my father and took my father's side, and then commenced to telling the women in the church who were my friends about the meeting that transpired between my father and himself, and then making people look at me a certain way. So it excommunicated me essentially socially from the church, and quite a few people from the church at that point.
You said the college lie. What was the college lie?
I lied and said that, and rather than telling the truth about me being suicidal, I came back when everyone asked me what was wrong and said I was dying of cancer.
Right.
I was going to kill myself.
Right. And when you got involved in Christianity, those suicidal ministering spirits, did they still minister to you even when you were in Christianity?
No, because I had my baby. I had to live for her.
So outside of the baby, it wasn't a now I'm living for Christ.
No.
It was just I have a higher purpose because I love my child.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I struggled with Christ anyway, right? I struggled with the idea of Christ. I came from an HBCU, so I knew the history of religion. So I always struggled with Christ. And then being Muslim, understanding and believing that story was more believable about who Christ was than what Christianity was posing it as. So I couldn't live for Christ. My Christ was my child. Like, she's here. I have to raise her. I have to be here.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you say that you had problems accepting the belief of Christ, what do you mean by that?
I had a problem with having to go through a mortal to get to God. I didn't understand that concept. That didn't make sense to me.
When you say go through a mortal, what do you mean, a pastor?
Jesus.
You
That was
mean you being the mediator?
Yeah, I was an issue for me.
Why?
Because in my mind, if he's a man, and this was a man, and he died for me, and he's God's son, and yet we're all God's sons, it just was too confusing. It didn't make sense. So it didn't resonate, but I kept trying to pursue the Trinity and understanding it. And it was always a struggle for me. It wasn't enough for me to say that I'm living for Christ. Like, I live for Christ.
Well, I wish somebody like me had been around at that time, because I definitely could have gave you clarity. And even though I don't believe in Christianity, no, or any denomination for that matter, but I definitely could have gave you understanding on why he is the a mediator and why he had to make an atonement for the people. But that's neither here
I
nor there.
understand that now. I have
Yeah.
that now in spirituality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll speak on that later. But getting into this marriage, at first, was it a beautiful marriage? Was it good at first? And how long were you to get first, before you say that, how long did this marriage last?
5 years.
Okay.
And it's still in the process of divorce.
Okay. So you're still married.
Yes, I got married in 2010. So
you guys been separated since 2015?
yes, we actually separated 2 months after our 5th year wedding anniversary.
Okay. So before I get into the other side, what were some of the good things about this marriage?
We worked really well together. Like, I was able to pursue my business ideas, my business ventures. I could travel. He worked. He was a worker, a provider as best as he could. We both wanted to give back to our community. We built a family nonprofit. I felt he loved me. Even though he didn't know how to show it in other ways, I knew he loved me. He took care of our children. He was present as much as he could when he wasn't working with our babies. He wasn't a father that I felt like I had to worry about if you know how mothers can be like, I'm not leaving my kids for days or for hours with their dad. He'll just let them run off and do whatever.
Right.
Even though he did that, as a dad, I just never worried. He was excellent. He was an excellent father when we were married. Excellent.
Okay. But as far as, you guys work together, he was an excellent father. Do you think that he did what was vital to the title of a husband in the beginning of the marriage?
Knowing what a husband is now? Mm-mm.
Huh?
Knowing what a husband is now for me? Not at all.
But at that time, with your understanding of what you thought a husband should be, was he doing what was vital to the title of a husband according to your definition at that time?
Yes.
Okay. So, he's a good father. You work well together. What transpired within the marriage to make it go left field?
When I was pregnant with our son, I discovered that he had brought Craigslist men into our home.
When you said he brought Craigslist men into your home, for those of the people that's slow like me, what do you mean that he brought Craigslist men into the home?
There were men seeking men ads that were on his phone, and through the discovery of their email was the address of our home provided to another man, to which that man came to our home and they did whatever sexual acts they decided to do in their meeting.
So your husband was paying for male prostitution?
And nothing in the emails ever indicated male prostitution. It looked like men who also were married and had families were engaging in homosexual down low behavior at no cost other than their souls, essentially, to themselves. But no money was exchanged from what I looked at in the emails.
Through the emails, okay, what did you find other than the revelation of finding out that he was involved in something that was totally contrary to God's word, nature, and the marriage that you were involved in with him? Was it anything else that you found out within those emails that was shocking to you?
Just the fact that there are other men out there that were living down low lifestyles and had families, and they want discreet and don't know each other. And the openness, the willingness to just go to people. That was the shocking thing for me, is that they don't know each other from Adam, and they link up and immediately engage in sexual behavior and have families at home and need to keep it discreet, and that entire down low lifestyle. It was familiar though. It was familiar. Because at 14, my mother gave me the book by J.L. King on the down low to read. And to this day, she doesn't remember she gave it to me and doesn't even understand why she gave it to me. But I understood exactly what was happening because I read that book at 14.
Okay, so let me say this. After you found out that your husband been sitting over there allowing another man to do whatever or whatever he was doing with another man, and you found out that your husband was on this bullshit, um, how did you approach him and let him know that, hey man, I know that you've been fugazi. I know that you've been sitting over there letting somebody play with your onion ring. You've been sitting over there doing all type of abominable shit. You know what I mean? You just been on some male Jezebel shit and this shit ain't cool. As a matter of fact, was you guys even sexually involved during the time that he was sexually involved with other men?
Yeah, I was pregnant with our son at that point, when I found out about the man coming into the home.
Well, I have to ask that because a lot of times when women get pregnant, you know, some niggas be like, you know, I will see you, 2 months after you have the baby. You didn't got too big. I ain't really trying to hit that no more. You know what I mean? And then you got some men, you know what I mean, like myself, who's into pregnant pussy because, you know what I mean, it's a certain temperature that's up in there and it's real cool for a player. You know what I mean? But
the sex life wasn't the greatest, just because we were in a it was in a distrusting place already from other little lies and things that had taken place prior to being married. And even just, yeah, that it wasn't the best sex life, but we had sex. That wasn't an excuse.
okay, so you were having sex and everything. So now we know that you were sexually involved during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Just got the revelation of your husband being in these abominations by having adultery with these other men, fornication for them. And, you know, how did you tell him that you found out that he's been involved in something crazy, such as homosexuality?
I attacked him.
When you say you attacked him, what you mean?
I physically attacked him. I physically went in, showed it. I had to break into the email first. So how this even happened was, we were looking at epicfailure.com on his phone, and you know how you want to go back so you can go forward in the pictures. Well, I went back, and I went back one click too many times, and it went into the email. And then I seen the list of Craigslist. I was like, I know it. Okay, I know what is that? I've never seen it. And then clicked and went logged out. And then I clicked back again, and it went into the email. And then I'm like, oh, this, and it logged out. So it was a logged out email, but I was able to click in 3 times. And on the third time, I looked directly for the account for the email. And then I broke into that email and then was able to fully read all of the emails. And then I physically attacked him. Pregnant.
So even while being pregnant, you gave him the business for allowing another man to basically give him the business in his ass.
Yeah.
So you put your foot up in his ass.
Yeah. I bit so hard through, he had his work coat on, a long sleeve on, a t-shirt on, and still broke a couple layers of skin with my teeth with how angry I was and upset and vicious about it.
And I can't blame you. So after you gave him the hands for giving another man the hands, what was his reaction?
He was just stuck, apologetic. I remember calling my friend. It was like 3 in the morning. I remember calling her and telling her what happened, and her putting her husband on the phone, who was a pastor at the church that we went to, one of them, and him just telling me to open up my Bible and just read wherever my eyes land. And I remember reading out loud to calm down. That I do remember very well. But he was just apologetic. That's all he could do.
Okay, and when he said that he was sorry for committing adultery by performing homosexual acts with other men, was he sincere when he apologized, or could you discern that this nigga is not sincere? He just angry that he got caught in some bullshit.
I took him as sincere because of the amount of pain and embarrassment that I seen in his eyes. And that it was almost like he couldn't control it. It was impulse. Also understanding that he had been sexually abused in his childhood from a very young age by a man gave a different level to my once I calmed down and wanted to work through our marriage, having one and being pregnant with the second. I was open in sickness and in health. I seen it as a sickness. I understood that with unresolved trauma, you have issues and impulses and things that need to be worked out. So, I don't know if it's still there. So, I was focused on that. Like once I calmed down, and of course, my whole group of women in church that came to the rescue was 2 women, my sister-in-law, his brother, the pastor that married us, and the couple that I called at 3 in the morning. It was like, it was a round table, if you will, at different times trying to work through this situation with him.
Right. And okay, so after finding out that your husband has been involved in, that we just call it the other shit. After finding that out, did you immediately say enough is enough? We can continue? Or did you actually try to maintain a marriage after finding out your husband was in homosexual acts?
Yes, I did. I even made love to him. I want to say within 24 hours after that happened, praying and saying it's over, that this situation is done for you, and that you're going to have the healing, and that you're going to have what you need, and we're going to get therapy, and we're going to get through it. And I wouldn't say that it was denial, because I knew exactly what it was happening. I just knew that he needed healing in my mind at that point. He needed to be healed. Didn't know how it was going to get there, didn't know what it looked like. But in my mind, I'm a Christian woman, I'm a mother, we have kids, I'm determined to make this work. We can't be the only ones going through this. Like, let's get the truth out. Let's figure this out together. Let's make it. Let's still persevere. It was a very, very young-minded and scared of being alone perspective.
So, and pardon me, you know how I am. I can't be nobody but sinful.
Yes.
So after finding out, and I understand the emotional side, and I know that the ladies, they're gonna be with you because they're emotional too. But I come through like Samuel at times, and that's why everybody love to attack me whenever they find out something, because they know I come with the sword. Now, after finding out that your husband may have been getting dicks in his ass, or putting his dick in another man's ass, or who else, you said that he needed some healing, and your definition of healing was giving him some pussy and making provisions to get possibly a sexually transmitted disease?
It wasn't healing. Healing wasn't giving. That wasn't the mentality. Having sex wasn't the healing. That was the acceptance of that was my forgiveness. So when I had sex with him anyway, that was forgiveness, period. So now the healing came in with the therapy that was to follow. So going to marriage counseling, going to church therapy with the pastor, it was whatever we needed to do, need to talk about his abuse, needed to, whatever that was the healing that was discovering. But me having sex with him was letting him know that I'm here with you still, that I'm not going anywhere, that we're going to make it through this together no matter what. Sexually transmitted diseases, it was the last thing on my mind because I felt like as a wife, I was protected. And then, of course, I went and got tested. No doubt about that. But It's still, you know what I mean? And nothing has ever come as a result.
But see, this is what I want to show you, because I can't, because most people in my position, because they basically like, oh my God, I'm so hurt. But I still have to let the truth be known. The thing is, once you found out that your husband was involved in homosexuality, I know that was probably your way of letting him know that I accept you in spite of this bullshit that you are involved in, but just letting that shit just be 100. There's no healing that could have transpired from having sex with a man who basically didn't have sex with men, because the healing that he's in need of, you couldn't give him because he was sick up here and he was sick spiritually. So pussy wasn't going to heal that, because if pussy was the healing, he would have never ran to the booty or never ran to the dick. So your pussy wasn't the healing, sister.
Well, I didn't think that. It was the forgiveness and acceptance. I didn't think I could heal him.
100 with no. I'm telling you that you didn't think. It was the fact that you were emotional and you were pregnant at that time. So due to the fact that you were pregnant and you were overwhelmed with finding out that your husband was, that's what I call homosexuality. That's the name of the preference. That other shit, you know what I mean? You found out he was on some other shit, and you tried to basically move in your emotionalism. Because watch this. Immediately, you tried to fight him. Okay? And then after that emotion, then it went to having sex. See, this is all, and this is what I teach the young men, emotional reactions. Okay? You emotionally reacted.
Very much.
A mental response. I would never disrespect the beautiful mind that God has blessed you with by saying that you thought doing that, because honestly, what woman is planning to find out that her husband, is trying to be a virtuous woman, with another man? So, that's not, it's no blueprint anywhere on how, okay, this is the tutorial of finding out when your husband has been inside of the ass of another man, or possibly a man inside of your husband. So there's no tutorial on how to deal with that. So I'm not looking at you crazy. I'm looking at you like a woman that was pregnant, and that allowed your emotionalism to do things that was contrary to wisdom, because you thought that was healing and accepting. But I'm trying to tell you that sexual communication actually gave him some justification in the abominations that he was in, especially seeing how fast that it transpired after you revealed that you knew what transpired.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see that.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. So even though those activities was abominable, and if you give me sex after finding out the activities that I've been in was abominable, I feel justified, and you just gave me justifiable reasons to continue, because you accepted me after I've shown you the foolishness that I've been in, because homosexuality is foolishness.
Right.
So, for a guy being
very true, what you're saying is, and it continued.
Yeah, and it continued. So, ladies, because I want the women to know, because this is the Game for Ladies channel, when a guy has revealed to you not just homosexuality,
anyway,
but once an individual has shown you hypocrisy, once an individual who professes to be a man has shown you that he is a liar, okay, you do not reward him with sex, or doing anything such as that, because all you have done was given him a justifiable reason to get into a continuity of continuing in homosexuality, which is stupidity. You just gave him, a license. So many times, and this is why I teach you to the ladies, of course, I teach the fellas this, but for the ladies, it's very hard for you guys to do that because of the way that you're built, but always strive to mentally respond and not emotionally react, because when you emotionally react to some hypocrisy, you give people a license to continue in hypocrisy. So, okay, you continued on, and what else transpired after, you showing him that you accept him in spite of him being involved in homosexuality?
Say that again. I'm sorry, it broke up.
I said, what transpired after the so-called healing, I'll say the healing process that you thought that you was giving him, but it was really a justifiable process that you gave him. How did the relationship, the marriage continue, knowing that, him knowing that that he's been involved in that other shit, which is homosexuality? Like, how did it continue after that? How was it after that? What was the temperature, in the house after that?
On and off. It was, I lost all respect at that point. It was very hard for me to love authentically. We ended up having one more child. And by that time, I was just focused. My best friend became very present. And I always tell people my best friend became the husband in my life, because everything emotionally that I wasn't, he would annoy me or he'd be at work or whatever, we were able to focus on business. And I just stayed in working on business and trying to build a business and building a nonprofit and being active in the community. So I occupied a lot of the rest of our marriage with just work. And then after our third was born, I got into politics and became an elected official. And that came with its own mounts and mounts of craziness. And so it was I just busied myself. And then because of the politics and how I got into politics, how I became an official, how the changes I was making, I ended up getting charges. And so on our 5th year wedding anniversary, I had, 14 felony charges that they said on the news.
Yeah.
And 2 months after that, he was caught with visiting a tranny in the area that I was a politician in. And that was when I was like, I'm done. I'm not pregnant. There, because every time he was caught up with something homosexual after the man entered into our home, I was pregnant. But this was the first time where the activity, his homosexual activity, I was not pregnant. And thinking about what you said was a clarity moment for me. But the tranny looked like it had something. And I was like, I'm playing with my life dealing with you. And you lying still. I'm done. I've checked out of this. And he was moved out.
Not to interrupt you, but can you just see the mercies of God on your life?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And really, and being even more in awareness now that I'm out of, it's been 4 years since my charges were filed on me, or almost 4 years. Had those charges not been filed, had I not got into politics, had I not dealt with going to trial, had I not had all these things take place, I think I would still be married. Mm-hmm. The public scrutiny, everything that I went through during the last really, the separation, what caused it, which was like the pressure overboard, I would still be trying to be locked up in a lost, mentality. But because those charges were filed, it was too much. I get pressure from being on the school board. I get pressure from the public. I'm in the newspaper every damn day. And then I come home and this is what I find on your phone. Come on, man. I'm done. Bye. And that was it.
The enemy wanted to destroy you and not only destroy you, but he wanted to destroy the children. Okay? Because even after getting that knowledge of finding out what he was involved in, you continued on the marriage and had another baby. And what the enemy, now watch this. This is the results of emotionally reacting instead of mentally responding under the wisdom of the Most High. Because if you was being governed by the Spirit of God, you would not, first of all, the word of God, the Spirit of God would have spoke to you and said, come out from among that marriage, because you know what I mean? This is harmful. And to have a child that you could have possibly brought the child into the world with a disease, you know what I mean? God was just so merciful to you. You know what I mean? Woman, can't you just see that you're a walking miracle? You know what I mean? So you have every right to speak with power and conviction, because nobody should be able to deceive you into thinking that the Creator is not real, because after you've made the mistakes and been involved with individuals who were hypocrites and, you know, because of the situation, I'm going to tell you the truth. What really happened was, because of the things that transpired between you and your father, okay, there were some things that, you know what I mean, was not balanced with you. Your definition, depiction, and vision of what you see, you know, as what a man should be, that was off. Okay? So it's going to take God. He's blessed you, but he's still going to continue to bless you. And he's going to give you a greater understanding. So for the next man that's going to preside over you in the future, you know what I mean, will be authentic. He will be a man. You know, I know you use the word soft, but I would just say that he will be a masculine man and cater to you as the Spirit of God leads him. To you, sister, amen. But you know,
Yes.
we don't, because God so, what you say?
I said all I've attracted since I separated has been men, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know. Hey, I didn't know that they made them like you. Wait a minute. So yes.
Yeah, because what happens a lot of times, when a young girl has an inappropriate relationship with her father, uncle, brother, cousin, somebody within the congregation. And of course, when she tells these things to her mother, which is supposed to be her covering, her gate of protection, and when you tell your mother and your mother don't stand with you and protect you the way that she's supposed to, you grow up broken. Okay? And because you were broken, you was an easy prey for any Tom, Dick, and Harry, simply because you didn't have the correct defense mechanism of love around you. So any guy that came along who had time, who could have gave you attention, who basically was opposite of what your father was, he was pretty much the best candidate to be elected by you, simply because your definition, vision, you know, of what you see a man, it was just completely off.
Yes.
Okay. But I believe Yahweh to give the correct, you know, understanding of what a man is and how a man conducts himself, a man with the correct preference, a man with no hypocrisy. You'll never find a perfect man, but the difference is somebody that's authentic in spirituality, even though he's not perfect. The difference that separates him from the carnal man is that he's striving for perfection and totality.
Yes.
Okay. So, you know, faith is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. So in the future, I definitely believe Yah to bless you with that authentic man that knows how to cater to your needs without being soft. You know, no, we don't need another soft man.
Lord Jesus.
Because while you had a soft man, he had a man that was hard. And so you don't need another soft man, because them soft men be like a hard men and other soft men. So touch somebody, if you a lady, touch another woman next to you and say, we don't need no soft men. No
We
more
don't need
than
no
we got.
soft men. We don't need them.
We don't need no more. You don't need no more of that. You know what I mean? You need you a man.
Yes,
Okay?
and the thing is really trippy for me. It's and because I've had beautiful relationships with outstanding men who are of God and aligned and true and whole, and it's also been interesting for me to learn submission. You know, that's I've had to be so hard. I had to put up this front that to come in and allow a man to really lead is something that I'm willing and open, very open and excited about, but I feel the challenge in it. It's like a girdle, more uncomfortable.
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna say this to you, baby. You are a beautiful person. Outside of the beautiful appearance that the Most High has blessed you with, you're just a beautiful person. Okay. So before you even get involved with another man, this would be my advice. I would just encourage you to gain a more real relationship with the Most High. As the scripture says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, not a marriage, not a man, but seek ye first the kingdom of God. You got to work on becoming the right woman, so God can bless you with the right man, because he's not going to give you the right man when you're not the right woman for the right man. And right now, there's still some areas where God has to restore you. He got to bless you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Okay. And when those areas, get blessed in, I'm more than confident knowing that you will have the right man. But don't rush into nothing. A lot of times when people get involved in things early, inappropriate with family members, it throws them off. They get some get promiscuous, some end up going to lesbianism. You know what I mean? But either way, they end up going off. You know what I mean? Into the deep end. And I'm just so glad that in spite of everything that transpired in your life, that even while you was in that marriage and finding out what you found out, that God still covered you with his love, his mercy, and yet you are still here. Now, of course, by him still being involved, but was it 2015 that you told him that, you no longer can do this because of what he's involved in, and you can no longer participate in anything? It was that time, right?
Yes.
Okay. And ever since 2015, you've been completely separated.
Yes. Yeah. And then the other part was I was also simultaneously again going through my case, right? Because I was dealing with fighting. It started off with 14 felonies and ended up dropping to 12 felonies. And so I would be in divorce court and child custody court on a Tuesday morning, and in criminal court on a Tuesday afternoon, or sometimes twice in the same week. So it got to the point where once the child's custody was figured out, the divorce was put on hold because it was really too much for me to emotionally handle. So my case just resolved in September. Now we've picked back up to finalizing the divorce.
Okay. Now, are you comfortable talking about the case?
Yeah, it's over.
Okay. What transpired to bring that into existence? What was the case?
It was perjury, election fraud, grand theft, and welfare fraud.
Okay. And How many years was you facing at that time?
When they first dropped the charges, the first charges came, I was told 10 years. And then at sentencing, the DA wanted 6 years and four served, 2 served in custody and 4 served out.
Okay. And because of that transpiring, you know what I mean, what did you go through mentally? Did you think that you were going to be in prison for a long, long time?
Yeah, they actually wanted, I could have got all of them dropped to misdemeanors if I had rolled on the other Black politician that sat on the board with me.
Right.
And they wanted me to exaggerate how I got into office through him, and I refused. So as a result of that, mentally, I always was like, I know I could get out of this easy, but principally, I can't. Principally, I'm not. There's no way I'll be able to live with myself knowing what I know just to get out of this period.
Right. See, I just appreciate it. Isn't it sad for the fellas that's watching? You know, as we look back, Ashley didn't tell on her father. You know, Ashley didn't put her father in jail. She could have put her father in prison. Ashley didn't put her father in prison. Ashley didn't some other things as well. She never put, you know what I mean? She didn't go AWOL. It's a lot of things she could have did to her husband. She didn't. And it's things that she could have got her ass out of that situation by giving up some good information on some people that, you know, they wanted over her, but she didn't do that. So, you know, it's sad, you know, especially I know some of my street niggas watching, some people that's authentic. It's like, man, you know, these homosexual niggas always get the good ones, man. All these old male Jezebel ass niggas, man, they always get the bras, man, that they ain't got no business having, man. She's supposed to be with a real one, a real nigga, and God allowed this bullshit, and she over here fucking with this nigga, man. You know what I mean? I already know what some of my real ones are saying. She should have been fucking with me. You know what I mean? I'm already knowing what some of the guys, they listening to some of this, they like, man, she never rode on nobody. She stayed down. And even though, you know what I mean, what she went through was fucked up, she still didn't put nobody in nobody's prison. You know what I mean? This was the type of broad for me. You know what I mean? How did she end up with that nigga that wanted all of them niggas? It is what it is. It is what it is. But I want to get down to some positive things because, of course, the case that's over right now, right? You know what I mean?
I haven't in its appeal process, but it's done. I'll go on house arrest at the end of January, beginning of February.
Yeah, but even though it ended up with the house arrest, how many know that house arrest is better than being in prison for years? I don't know, man. If I could have took house arrest, you know what I mean, over certain, I would have took that house arrest, man. You know what I mean? So that's a blessing within itself that God was still so merciful that she's just gonna have to have house arrest. Didn't tell on nobody, and then she about to sit down, have a little house arrest instead of being in somebody's prison for years. Yes, I would take house arrest, watch my TV, watch my computer, read my books, eat good food, work out, do you know what I mean? At the house. You know what I mean? It's messed up that I can't. But I got more liberty at my house than I got in the cell with somebody else. So I think I like my house. But let's get back to that dynamic ministry that you have before we leave, because I want you to have the opportunities to let them know how you have spoken at certain events, because you just did something phenomenal not too long ago. And you got some things that's about to take place in 2019. I really like the way that God is blessing you. So, I want you to speak on that so they can be aware, because some people in the beginning, they was here, but then there's some people here now, they wasn't here in the beginning. So they didn't get your information and they don't know, how anointed you are. You know what I mean? As they say in the script, it's saying the word, the gifts and callings of God are without repentance. And this woman has a beautiful ministry. She was called to speak. So let us know what transpired, what is transpiring, and what will transpire as far as you speaking, at these events previously, and what's about to happen, in the future.
This past Sunday, I spoke at an all-girls teen summit that our artist, Mr. Fab, who's known out in the Bay Area, strongly put on, and really just threw that in my lap and was like, boom, there you go. And I'm hoping, to be speaking at the Women's March in January out here in Stockton. That's like up in the air, but definitely something that is in the works. I started a love coaching business. So it's all about love in all different areas, self-love, parent love, teen love. My specialty is teenagers. I have a real strong passion for them, hence why I ran for office in the first place. And I'm geared, I'm following my path. And a lot of it is still very much so unknown and being mapped out day by day. And I'm learning to accept that, because before all of this happened, I was a planner. I planned everything. So now it's just, I want to get out. I want to spread the word. I want to be the light. I want to empower women. I want to empower men. I still love Black men. There's nothing more on this planet that I love to support, help, encourage, and raise up, especially since I have a son. So I'm just all about love. I go to the root of love, the truth of love, and continue to transcend any limited and restricting beliefs about love through my life experience and through that which I teach in others. So I'm motivated, inspired to keep pushing. You can find me on Instagram at Majestic Ashley, MAJESTIC, Ashley, ASHLEY, or you can find me on Facebook, Ashley Lynn Hampton. And I'm moving, yo. Like this is it. Like I've come out of the storm. And now I'm kind of just dusting myself off and allowing God to really use me. And no longer my will, but His. And expanding slowly but surely, coming out of my own shell. This was healing in itself. I appreciate you so much. You know that.
Yeah. What would you say to a young girl that might stumble upon this video and she's currently being molested? What would you say to a young girl who has been raped, and what would you say to a young girl, a young teenager, or somebody that's, getting ready to get up on their adolescent years, and they have been sexually involved with a family member? Ashley, what would you say to the young females, to the young girls that could possibly end up seeing this video? For the young girl that basically went through that, and when they told their mother, they either got cussed out or threatened to be kicked out of the house, simply because the mother thought that the child was lying, or that they know that the child is telling the truth, but just keep that on the hush hush and don't tell nobody. What would you say to them?
My first is tell the truth no matter what, and don't let go of it, and hold on to it, and know that, yes, even in the middle of the pain and the torture that it feels like not being believed, that by staying true and being true and telling the truth, that you are covered, and it even has a purpose that is beyond anything that you can currently imagine. Hold tight, and it is a hard and bumpy journey coming out of being any form of sexual abuse, any form of abuse alone, but sexual abuse, especially in your childhood, it is a It is a hard, hard road, but by telling the truth and owning that truth and never ever allowing it to be diminished, freedom is coming. Just hold tight, baby, hold tight, and do not protect your predator. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
So, what I will say to you is you're stronger than a lot of guys that I've even known.
Hmm.
Okay. May I ask, what is the relationship now with you and your father?
I actually just stopped having a relationship with my father in March. I've maintained a relationship with my father all the way up until this time in hopes that my unconditional love for him would bring him to truth. And it came to a head when he tried to force me to talk to someone I did not want to talk to. And it triggered something that I suppressed, which is the boundary.
Mhm.
And then it landed up with me going off in his home. And then when asked by other family members why we're not speaking, I said because a truth and a lie cannot be in the same place. So while I love my father unconditionally, and I would, there was more, and it's hard for people to understand this unless you've been abused. There was more good with my father than that situation. um I can't be in his presence. I can no longer be in his presence with him lying. It invalidates my experience, and it totally says fuck you, and I can't do that. The truth has to be there, and all I want for my dad is to tell the truth, and then we're good. Like, it, that's my dad, you know what I'm saying? We can be around each other and we can function because I don't hate him. I'm not mad at him. I don't have any aggression or ill will for him at all. That's been gone. It's just now we're at the point where I've reached in my journey where it's only the truth can be around me, and that includes even my mother. So it's anything that's unwilling to be the truth will not stand, and I'm not going to take that slash anymore. So that's when we're not have not been in conversation with each other since March 25th, and have since had some text messages from him where he was way out of line, and I just continued to tell him, let's get a polygraph test. Since you want to hold this position that you didn't do it, let's get a polygraph test. And of course, that never comes to surface. So we have no communication.
Okay. And what is the relationship between you and your mother?
It's an ongoing effort. My mother is a powerful woman. Um, we are a lot alike, but she is not authentic. So we struggle a lot. My mother is amazing. My mom is, and fine as hell, like genuinely still fine at 50, but just not willing to do her work for real, for real. Christianity is a very good cover up.
So, and I like that you said that. So, you said Christianity. I know exactly what you mean by that. But could
Hmm.
you expound when you said that Christianity is a good cover up, especially for your, because you just said that your mother is not authentic. So, by her not being authentic, Christianity is a good cover up, for the phoniness. Uh,
Yeah, because it Christianity as the religion has so many limitations and allows for so many justification and excuses for not really going in and telling the truth about who you are, all the way down to what race you really are. So it's with Christianity, it becomes a, well, God can judge me and God can handle that, rather than you actually getting in and recognizing that there's no separation between you and God. You are made in the image and likeness of God. You are a physical extension of the non-physicalness of God. Therefore, you must do your work. Leaving it to God is a nice excuse for saying, I'm not going to do anything about this. And it doesn't allow you to hold yourself accountable to a level of growth that brings you the highest perspective. What's the highest perspective, Mom? That's the question, not this victimized perspective of, well, you're disrespecting me because I'm challenging your belief about what really went on in my childhood. So we are in a constant
battle, if you will. And when I speak out, it's usually disrespectful or it's attacking, which I blame on her white side, because white people tend to think that passion is anger, when in actuality, I'm not angry. I'm just passionate, and you keep poking the bear, and this is what you get. So with that, it's a nice cover up. And then if you can walk away and say, well, God is my judge, and I'll have to deal with that with God on Judgment Day. All right. Well, today's the judgment day for me, and this is what I say.
Right.
My mom's dope. She's a hard worker. You know what I mean? She does the best that she can. It's just we have a lot of conflicts because of her inability to be authentic.
Wow. Sad. It's very sad. So before I leave off of that, I just want to say, because a lot of times people have the nerve to ask me whether or not am I involved in any type of denomination or whatever. But one thing that I made known in the video that I just did, speaking on the holiness of God, is that whether a person was in Christianity, whether they were in Islam, whether they were Pentecostal, Seventh-day Adventist, Hindu, spiritualist, one thing all these people had in common is that they practiced sin. And not only that, religion basically covered up a lot of things that they didn't want to deal with. And because they was able to quote scriptures, especially Christians and Baptist people, they were able to say that, well, God will deal with that, or the Lord will deal with that, or we just gonna believe God, or let's pray up on it, or God will fix it, or the Lord will fix it. When in reality, He's giving you the capability to fix it your damn self.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And each and every day that He gives you the opportunity with the activities of your limb and put breath in your body and the blood is still warm in your veins, you have an opportunity to change the situation or endeavor to at least have communication with the children that you ruined. But it's easy for people who have destroyed people, who have mentally, just messed people up, to hide behind religion or hide behind the scriptures, and say, that's like if I was a predator and I had so many victims, and now when they see me, I say, well, I molested you, or that transpired when I wasn't, in the faith.
Ooh, God.
Or that yeah, I understand I molested you when you were 6. Yeah, I understand that I touched you when you was 9. Yeah, I understand that I was molesting little boys in the community when they was 11, but that was then and this is now. I'm a new creature. I'm in Christ now. Or I've seen the light. I once was blind, but now I see. Listen, man, people don't want to hear that shit when they've been molested and played with and mind fucked up. What world y'all be in?
No.
What world y'all be in? So it's easy for individuals, and I'm not saying that individuals don't have a transformation in their life spiritually, but most people grab hold of to these denominations because now they feel justified in the things that they did. Now they went from knowing that they was a predator, and now they sitting over there saying, you know what I mean, I'm saved now. Or now they get a self-righteous spirit, and they try to forget about them messing over their daughter, or they messing over their niece, or their cousin, or their sister, or brother. You know what I mean? Because now you're in a religion now. But the truth of the matter is, you still haven't found deliverance, and that is my main problem with these denominations. It does not provide deliverance for the sin-sick soul. It's just a bunch of religious people acting, and it's the same spirit in the streets. Now the streets, I'll say, got a little more realness than the people in the church, certain areas, but it's just so much acting going on. Acting in the streets, acting in the church. It's just a big act. So people grab a holder to these denominations to put on an Oscar award performance. You know what I mean? So I'm just glad that you actually have that knowledge. Like I said, woman, you beautiful. You know, for you to even know that. It's people that's 40 and 50 and 60 years old, you know what I mean, that don't have the knowledge. And most of all, what I do like, that is in spite of what happened to you, you're not keeping that bitterness in your heart. You know what I mean? And neither did you go on the same path as you seen the people who are fraudulent by getting involved in or staying involved in denomination. You came out of that Christianity, or as I like to say, that bullshit, because you know it was some mess. You know what I mean? And one of the reasons why you couldn't stay in it, baby, because you got a brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm asking questions. What is this you're talking about?
Exactly. And when we ask the simplest questions, like, okay, you saying that he died on Good Friday, but you say he got up on Sunday. But
3 days missing. What's
right
up with
here,
that?
but the Bible is saying right here that 3 days and 3 nights. But you saying he got up on Sunday, but he was killed on Friday. So why you getting up on Sunday? You know what I mean? And, like,
And Jay is only 500 years old. Why is his name Jesus, the Greek god Zeus?
Right.
I don't understand.
So wait a minute. If it's only that old, then how is his name Jesus? And when you ask these questions, you know what they come with? Watch this religious shit. This is the bullshit that they come with. First of all, number one, don't you question God. Lord, don't question God, baby. You take it to God in prayer. Amen. We don't know everything. And that which we don't know, you know, we just don't know. It ain't God's will.
Go all the way to the ancient Hebrew manuscripts to line it up, because we're just going to go through each session. I was going through all, I had to, because it didn't make sense.
But they're not going to do that, because what I found out is religion makes people comfortable.
Yes.
In their mess.
Yes.
Okay? So when you have an individual that's authentic and they're constantly asking questions, you know what I mean? Like, okay, if you're saying that we're celebrating Christmas, I'm just like I said not too long ago, and I know people didn't even bother to study because they want to keep celebrating Christmas. But when I said, now, if you look in your Bible, you will see that the only people that are celebrating their birthday are Gentiles. You never see any of the Hebrews celebrating their birthday. Birthday celebration was among the Gentiles, not among the Hebrews. It wasn't even a part of the Jewish ritual. So you don't even see Christ, so-called Christ, celebrating his birthday. So what? And then you say you're a Christian, you say you Christ-like. So if you Christ-like, ain't you supposed to do what he did? He didn't celebrate his birthday. What you doing? But people say, I want to do what the fuck I want to do. Create a religion called I'm doing whatever the fuck I want to do. That's what you need to do. Matter of fact, it needs to be called Full Gospel. I'm doing what the fuck I want to do. Third Cathedral, Ebenezer, Nebuchadnezzar, third floor, Baptist Church. That's what they need to call it. Oh no. Bam. There we go. But is there any information that you want to give, you know what I mean, before we get out? Talk to them. Did you want to let them know about an upcoming platform or anything?
Just look out. You know, the 2019 is my preparation for the perfect vision of my life of 2020. So I'm literally slowly piecing my life back together. There's a lot of stuff I have going on, but I'm being very careful and very mindful and aware and present, and making sure it ain't my ego at the tip of it. So yes, just follow, support, pray with no begging in your vibration. Just pray for abundance and prosperity to come my way, because your girl is tired of the financial struggle. Believe that.
Your financial blessings is coming. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God,
Yes.
and everything will be added.
It's
Amen.
coming.
You know what I mean? So don't even be mad about that. But what I will say, I am so appreciative for you coming on this platform and you giving your testimony. And not just that, being a blessing to others, because everybody in the comment section gets the opportunity to say whatever they want or put on an image, in the comment section. But the truth is, it might have just been somebody in the comment section or somebody who will see this video, and they're broken and they're hurt and they're going through some things currently. So to see somebody speak on this, such as you have, and to not have any hatred, malice, in your heart towards your father and mother, that is a blessing within itself. And I want to say to the youth who has went through similar things, such as Ashley, that, I'm not going to make any justifiable reason or any justifiable thing of what transpired, because it was abominable and it shouldn't have happened. But don't allow anything that transpired in your past to dictate your future. Don't allow that to bring a spirit of depression that's going to hinder the progression in your life. Crucifixion does one thing I do believe in. The crucifixion comes before the resurrection in anything that you do. So you have to go through turmoil and adversity and things in life, because even though it was ugly and even though it was messed up, but it made you. Without that, you wouldn't even be who you are today. And a lot of you have greatness inside of you, and you will never experience it. You will never come to the realization of it if you stay in the state of depression. You need, in my honest opinion, you need to cry out to God. You need to sincerely pray to God. I'm not talking about food for your soul or daily breads or a religious pamphlet passed out by the Jehovah's Witnesses knocking at your door. I'm telling you to sincerely talk to God out of your soul. And as you begin to talk to him out of your soul, he'll begin to bless you, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And then after that, ask for wisdom on how to preside over that situation. Because whenever you emotionally react to a circumstance that you don't agree with, or that's messed up, the outcome is going to be messed up, simply because you are allowing your heart to govern your behavior instead of this beautiful infinite mind that he has blessed you with, black man. Instead of this beautiful infinite mind that he has blessed you with, young black woman or young black male or female. We got to utilize, or whatever race that you may be, use your mind. Your emotions will lead you to a location called nowhere fast, or possibly the grave. That spirit of depression will take you to suicide. And I don't know what your belief may be. You might be a Christian or a Baptist, but one thing I can say, you can't ask for forgiveness once you kill yourself. Once you kill yourself, you can't ask God for forgiveness. Why? Because you ain't alive to ask for forgiveness. You're dead. So there will not be any forgiveness for suicide. Okay? So we need to refrain and abstain from anybody that is basically ministering to us spirits of depression. Sin, what you mean by that? Answering the phone for individuals who got that same spirit, such as you. You know what I mean? And you end up being a garbage can for more mess. You end up being a garbage can for negativity. You end up being a garbage can for stupidity. You end up being and let me also say this to you mothers. Yes, Lord. You mothers, aunties, fathers, pastors, ministers that have knowledge of children being molested, and you don't say anything about it. As the scripture says, cry loud and spare not, lift up your voice like a trumpet and show the people their sins. Once you knew that this person that was molesting a child, knowing this person's age, or you knew it was some incest going on, and you didn't do anything about it, you are just as guilty. And if I could just say it like that, I could say what the pastor can't say over the pulpit. You just as fucked up as the individual, you know what I mean, that was in that mess, because you didn't say any damn thing. You was an enabler. And an enabler of abominations is just as guilty as the individual that is involved in the abominations that they're in, because you enable what transpired by not even having a desire to say anything about it. So, you know what I mean? I wanted to just say that to you guys as well. You are just as guilty when you know that a child is being molested, when you know that a child is being played with. I don't care if it's a minister on the ministerial staff and you haven't said anything about it, you just as guilty as the predator. So I hope everybody take heed. I appreciate Ashley for coming on, because she has, as I said again, she has no malice in her heart, no hatred in her heart. You know what I mean? She still has love for her father. She still has love for her mother. She still has love for the Black man. She still has love for the Black woman. And for somebody to endure the things that this woman has endured and not have, deposits of hatred, in her, man, she is something else. Baby, before we get out of here, give them your information again, just in case if somebody want to have a conversation with you later on.
Instagram is Majestic Ashley, Majestic, Ashley, Ashley. And my Facebook is Ashley Lynn Hampton.
Okay. And she does go live on there. So I definitely want you to follow her, and I want you to support her and all of her endeavors. You know what I mean? But I appreciate you guys. I thank you for being with me and Ashley. Make sure that you share this video. I know this channel is not as popular as the other channels and things like that, but we gonna make it, as popular, because I'm gonna keep, this won't be the last video that I'm gonna do with Ashley. This was just pretty much an introduction. But we definitely will be doing more videos in the future. Yeah. And I definitely will be bringing on other people as well. But make sure you share this video so this can be a blessing to somebody else, and support Ashley in all her endeavors. I hope you guys live as long as you want, and never want as long as you live. Y'all be blessed. One.